Yes, sir. Parameswaran, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Now you are audible, sir.
now I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So, good evening, everybody. It gives me an immense pleasure to be a part of this event today. So, at the outset, are you hearing now? My voice is okay? Hello?
Yes,
My
yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
sir.
Okay. So, first of all, I would like to thank the Geetham University and the organizers of this one-day webinar, particularly Professor Sarath Chandra Babu, Principal, Dr. Sridhar, Dr. Iswar Rao, Dr. Ravi Shankar, and Dr. Sridevi. In fact, my guru, Professor Umar Shankar, is also a part of this event today. I'm very happy about that. He is guru in the sense that actually he was the external examiner for my PhD when I got PhD in Nagpur University. I am my special regards to Professor Umar Shankar. And today's topic, particularly, I chose this topic because there is a lot of scope for doing research in the official statistics. I joined the Indian Statistical Service and I was a part of the national statistical system for more than 3 decades. I have worked both with the social structure and infrastructure sector. So I thought, let me share some of the real issues when you deal with actual to field data. There are a lot of scopes for research, but not much research is being done in the official statistics area. So let me begin with my first slide on the Indian economy. It is a small table I have given showing the share of the various three sectors I have picked up, how it was in 1950-51 and how it is in 2021. If you do the agricultural allied sector, it was the 52% was this sector of the total GDP, which has declined to 20%. And the industrial sector has slightly increased from 14% to 26%. Whereas services sector, there is a tremendous increase. It was only 34% in 50-51, whereas it is 54% in 2021. Why I am particularly insisting on the services sector is because the privatization has taken place, many of these fields in the services sector, which throws a lot of problems about the regular availability of data and access to data. So next slide. So let me begin with the sample surveys. Because as a statistics student, we are always introduced to the sample surveys. Because we cannot do anything for the entire population as a whole. So normally we take a sample and work out certain estimates to represent the population. So a sample survey is the core of the whole statistical theory. Now there are various large-scale sample surveys which are done by the Government of India, the National Sample Survey Office. I have enumerated some of them. The Annual Survey of Industries, which gets the data on the industrial sector, what is the gross value added, what is the capital, number of employees, profit less, and so many important information are obtained through this survey. Then there's urban frame surveys. We study about the sampling frame. That is, there is a frame from which the sample is selected. So the NSSO actually prepares the urban frame survey through the urban frame surveys, the sampling frame. So this sampling frame is used for selecting the sample. Then there are agricultural surveys, which gives the data about the yield, crop cutting experiments, both on agriculture, horticulture, and soil conditions, and so many other things. Then there are price collection surveys. There are two important prices which regularly we read in the newspaper. One is the consumer price index, another is the wholesale price index. And the consumer price index is taken for the inflation also. Then there are a number of other ad hoc surveys like labor force surveys, working class family income and expenditure surveys, participation and expenditure in education, domestic tourism, housing condition, and so on and so forth. So depending upon the importance of a subject during a particular time period, the NSSO takes up these topics for collecting detailed data. So the data you're used for coming some number of years. Now here, next slide. So this NSSO surveys are very elaborate surveys. It's a very large sample because it has to represent the entire country. The estimates are arrived at to represent the whole population in the entire country. And the questionnaires are lengthy and it takes a lot of time with the respondents. And there is a well set up mechanism of doing this. There's a technical advisory committee which actually prepares the questionnaires. Then it is there's a pilot survey done and a lot of field work done. And this technical advisory committee continuously monitor till the data are collected and data are published. But here in the recent past, there are a number of issues are arising because the present day, the people are so busy, they don't have much time. So when you go to the field with a very lengthy survey questionnaire, it is very difficult to get the information because they have to at least give half an hour, 45 minutes to fill up a survey. So the people do hesitate to give detailed information. So even when I was posted to Pune in the NSSO for representing the entire Western region, I used to go to the field for inspection. Even the very well-educated people, they say that we don't have time, you come next day. Again, you come after 2 days. Then they hardly give 10 to 15 minutes to give the information. So the questions being raised from time to time is, can't we split the large survey into some small topics and collect the information and again merge it to bring the results for the whole survey. So you have a quick and small survey and you take a small questionnaire, you have a less time with the respondents. Is it possible to have, what are the issues? There are many methodological issues, but these have to be addressed too. Because as statistics students, when you do the project, maybe I feel that these are some of the areas which you have to assign to the students and you have to, with the concerned state governments and the National Sample Survey Office, they can coordinate with them, take a topic and do some sort of a study and get some empirical evidences so that can be used to either for using for the government of India or as well as to develop the theory. Next slide. Now, this is mainly about the private sector participation in the economy. There are a number of areas where the private sector is participating in a large scale, like insurance, health, education, and so on. Now, in the case of insurance, there is a IRDA that is located in Hyderabad, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority. And I have seen that now they are coming out with a very detailed statistics of various private insurance companies, which are quite voluminous. And I'm not much aware about how do they collect, but I have seen that they have established a very good system to collect the information and disseminate it. No, but if you take the health sector, I have given just an example in the same slide. There are about 69,000 total hospitals in the country during 1920, out of which 43,000 are in private sector. Now, so far as the government hospitals are concerned, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has a very well-established system. There's a health management information system, and the data flow from the village, the primary health center, then to district level, then to state level, then the national level, and how the data are collected based on the records through some surveys. And there is a very, again, established validation techniques to see the data or to ensure the quality of the data. Because that is very, very important. Quality and the reliability of data are very important because we are using this data for many policy decisions. But so far as the private sector is concerned, I don't know whether are we getting all very detailed statistics from all the private hospitals. So this is a big question. And how do we actually capture this data? How to ensure the coverage of the private sector hospitals? How do we again ensure the reliability and regular flow of information? Because the biostatistics, one of the important areas of research in the present days, but it is not picking up much in India. And this biostatistics, particularly, I did my research in the graph theory. Now, recently, I am coming across many graph theory applications in the biostatistics. But for that, we need the detailed patient data, data of the patients from the hospitals. Unless if you get it, we can do a very good research. We can map them, draw a graph, and connectivity can be studied, which leads to many results and improvement in the treatment and all. But how to ensure these things unless we have a complete coverage and also ensure the quality and regular flow of information. So this again, the students can take up some areas for doing research. Okay. Next slide. This is about the transport sector. No, it is again when I was posted in transport ministry way back in 90s. Even at that time, there was a problem of capturing the goods movement through trucks and all by roads. Even today, the position is the same. And it is actually day by day increasing. The goods movements are increasing by roads through trucks. But there is no system of collecting the information complete in all respects on a regular basis. There are no regular surveys. Some ad hoc surveys are done. The estimates are being used even for a longer period. The Indian statistical system endeavors to capture a wide variety of data of a very large and decentralized economy. Because our statistical system is a decentralized system. Because both the central government and state governments are responsible for collecting the data. And sometimes we have the matching samples because central government alone cannot collect from a large sample data. So we give it to the states also. And we combine the two, state sample and central samples. So while combining it, there are many methodological issues are coming up, which are to be addressed. And next slide. So with more and more participation of private sector, the data requirements for decision making have expanded a lot. But there are also many challenges thrown before the statistical administrators to capture the private sector data and ensure timely collection and dissemination of reliable and quality data. Because this is very, very important for policy decisions. Because sometimes the government of India wants some quick surveys, immediate information, but when you give it to the government, it has got its own system of working. So it takes time. So the importance of the data is lost actually, and which is not really much useful to the policy decisions. And this soft computing is a newly developing area, which has got highly possible solution to deal with the situation, because this techniques helps in generalization from approximation or interpolation to produce outputs from previously unseen inputs, but based on learning from experimental data. The next slide. This is again about the private sector participation. Now, these are some of the important areas. There has been a growing interest to extend the classical methods for data analysis. The main objective is to have a flexible modeling of phenomena such as uncertainty, imprecision, or ignorance. Because these are the characteristics of the private sector participation in the economy. So unless we capture these things in a proper way, our estimates may not be reliable, and the ultimate whatever data we are getting may not be much useful to the policy decisions. So extensions of classical probability theory and statistics are useful in many real-life situations, since uncertainties are not only present in the form of randomness, but various types of incomplete or subjective information have to be handled. Now, I feel that next lecture, which is on the gaps between the observations, will be very useful in this respect, because that is going to be an interesting topic. In the government also, we face this problem many times. Now, next I am coming to the environment. In fact, I have picked up only few areas just to give an insight into what are the problems and challenges before us. So next slide, please. Next slide is on environment. Yeah. Now, there is in the name of the development of economy, we actually overexploit the natural resources. There is an excessive use of various forms of energy, and there is a pollution resultant to it. pollution to land, pollution to air, and pollution to water. These are the major concerns. And as you are aware, there is a system of national accounts which gives estimates on various macroeconomic indicators like gross national product, gross domestic product, per capita income, net national product, and gross value added, and so as many other economic indicators. No, but the main issue is with more and more exploitation of natural resources and the problem with the environment issues, environmental pollution, watershed protection provided by forest, ecosystem services, these are all actually not taken care of while we get the estimates of the national accounts. These are very, very important because these environmental aspects play a vital role. So whatever GDP we are getting now, we cannot say it's a real GDP. So we have to make an accounting for the environmental into the GDP. Incorporate them into the GDP to get a real GDP. Now, for the last about 10 years, United Nations is working on what is called a system of integrated environmental and economic accounting. That is, how do we incorporate these environmental aspects into the national accounts? So now they have developed a system which has already come into force, I think 2 years back, and countries are supposed to implement the system of integrated environmental and economic accounting. Now, here the main issues are, see, the valuation is a major issue when we deal with the environment. Environment, there are two things. One is the physical assets. Physical assets is like forest area, number of trees, number of species, so number of animals. These are the physical assets. But we need the value on these assets. Then only we can incorporate into the accounting system. So how do we get the value of these physical assets? That is a very important area and very challenging area also. Now, very few studies have been done in this area for the government of India way back in 2006. Apart from that, there are some universities, some research institutes are doing a number of studies on these various aspects of environmental related subjects. But the problem is there is no data access, and we are not even aware what studies are being done by which institute. So there is a networking networking of these institutes and availability of the all the studies at one place. So somebody has to develop a portal or something, so connect all the institutes and put all the details of the various studies. So one can study and try to do something at the national level. Oh, for example, one case study was done in Andhra Pradesh for air and water pollution. This is done for the government of India, but they took up only two cities, Hyderabad and Secunderabad. The data were collected through a specially designed household surveys, as well as secondary data from the Andhra Pradesh Pollution Control Board and Central Pollution Control Board were used. I think next slide, please, next slide. No, before that. Yeah. No, next, not this one, next one. No, before there is one more. Yeah, how to arrive at data. So these few studies will not really be helpful to the government, because we have to represent the whole country and get an estimate at national level estimate, which is not possible with this few micro level studies. So how do we actually go about this? This is a very large area of research. There is a EPT RTA in Hyderabad. It is Environmental Pollution Research and Training Institute, and they are doing a lot of work on this. There's a TERI in Delhi. Oh, you have to get in touch with them and get some ideas. Even through Google search, you can get a lot of information about this, and students can do research in these areas. Because this is picking up a new area which is getting a lot of importance, not only at national level, but international level. Next slide. No, before there's a slide. A systematic natural resource. Yeah. So the first and foremost important need is we should have a systematic natural resources accounting. That is, leave alone the value part. Let us not do the valuation. Let us do the accounting of what are the natural resources available in the country. Even that is, there are many problems because of the diversity in the country and less number of micro level studies available. And there are a number of case studies, valuation studies in ecosystems, inland and wetland ecosystems are available, but they are again micro level studies. Now, most studies assess only part of the protection benefits and services and provide evaluation of current flows. So they do not cover future periods and do not value the possible impact on the stability of ecosystems. For example, if in the species, you have to have there are many sources, like Zoological Survey of India, they have a lot of data, but there is no systematic way of bringing out a statistical publication. There is a Botanical Survey of India, they have a lot of information, but we will have to cull out. And in fact, when I was there in the CSO, we brought a first publication on the climate change statistics. I think it was in 2012 or 13. You can get it from the MOSPA website, that publication. Now I hope they are regularly bringing it out. That was an attempt made. We tried to get data from various sources on the climate related information. And it's a very voluminous publication we brought out. Now, this has to be regularly done, and particularly on the species, ecosystems, biosphere, and various topics under the environment. The data are not available or available, but we have no access to it. Now, next slide. Because the most important point is, next slide, please. We have to strike a balance between exploitation of natural resources to raise the standard of living of the poor and degradation of natural capital. See, in the name of the development of the country, we cannot keep on doing the exploitation of the natural resources. We have to have a balance, how much we can extract so that the development takes place. But at what point we have to stop this? Because beyond a point, things will go really bad. And there's a lot of issues. Natural disasters will be there, and many more problems can arise. So next slide. This is on agriculture. We have already a number of data through, there is a full-fledged directorate of statistics in the Ministry of Agriculture. So they collect data. NSSO collects a lot of information, and there's an agricultural census which collects information. So these are the broadly data available on agriculture: the number and area of operational holdings, type of holdings, and gender. Data on tenancy, land use, irrigation status, cropping pattern. These are collected from 20% villages in East Tehsil. And there are data on use of inputs like manures, fertilizers, agricultural implements, machinery, institutional credits, use of improved seeds, besides age, educational qualification, household size, etc. These are collected from 7% villages in each tehsil. This again a very lengthy process. Is agricultural census takes place every 5 years, but by the time we bring out the data for a particular agricultural census, after three years only we are able to bring out. There's a time lag of 3 years. By the time we have to start the process for the next agricultural census. Now, to sort out these issues, please go to the next slide. No, before that. Yeah. There is a computerized land record system which are already in place in most of the states, particularly the major states. So I visited Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh has got a very good system of computerized land records. Karnataka is they are having this computerized record for last 10 years, but somehow they are not using the data through the application software. Now, most of the information, the agriculture census, can be immediately culled out from this computerized land record system if they can immediately, because they are regularly updating it. but there are certain problems in extracting the information. So if these issues are taken care of, and if they get the data from this computerized land record system, then agricultural census data time lag will be greatly reduced. So there is a major advantage of this. And many of the states have not even introduced this computerized land record system. So the first and foremost important is to use this system in a proper way wherever it is in place, and introduce the system in the states where it is not in existence. And now space technology has come in a big way in agriculture. There are many technological developments which have come in recent past, which can support agricultural assessments. For example, the development of many networks of automatic weather observations. There's a big data analysis and cloud computing systems, high resolution satellites by international private entrepreneurs, smartphone as a major data collection tool. Now, in fact, this was one of my suggestions when I was dealing with the price collection in the National Sample Survey Office. Now, even today, people go to the vendors for getting the price of the vegetables, fruits, and other things. Now, the question is, it takes time now, particularly in the pandemic period, even they are not able to go to the field. So I understand that they take the figure over phone. Now, instead of that, can't we have develop an app in the mobile so that these vendors can be asked to feed the data which can be used? But we have to do it in a pilot basis, because now there is a well-established system. We are getting a very good data through the NSSO by visiting the vendors. But can we get the same quality data through the apps? So that has to be studied. So maybe as a pilot basis, 1 or 2 markets can be selected, and you can develop an app and get the information and compare it with the information given by the NSSO. So that will give an advantage or to just an idea how to deal with the situation, to get a real-time data and in a short time period, and quality and reliable data. Now, next slide, please. Now, though there has been a tremendous progress in the use of space technology for agricultural applications, there are many further requirements. Some such areas are the extending crop inventory from current 8 crops to at least 11 major crops. Presently, the crop inventory is done only for 8 crops, but they want to at least introduce to 11 major crops. And there is a need to explore alternative methods for area assessments. It is using the regression estimate rather than the classification approach. And quantitative estimation at farm level, providing real-time crop condition information at block, gram panchayat level. Next slide. Site suitability for agricultural expansion, especially in northeastern areas, and the crop inventory of foreign countries to support export and import decisions, and assessing the impact of climate change on agriculture. Because of the change in the climate, because of a lot of environmental issues, climate change is there, and we see the unseasonal rains and too hot and all those things. So it's really having a major impact on the agriculture. Can we assess that well in time and give a prediction on this, give some advices to the agricultural farmers? So these are some of the important areas where you can take up some small studies. And the point I want to emphasize here is one should try to do research in the official statistics also, official data, using the official data, because it is not taking place much, and we don't have much guide also. That is another problem. So because the university guide, normally even today, we have the approach of doing mostly on the theoretical side, not much on the applied statistics. Maybe there are various reasons for that, but this is an area which we have to take it up, and we have to give importance so that we get the data, real-time data, and that to quality data, because this will be very useful for the policy decisions. The government is looking for such things in a shorter time period, because there are many decisions ought to be taken from point to point. When a new scheme is introduced by the government, something is done immediately, they look for a data. So if it is not available, you plan for a detailed data. By the time 1 or 2 years have gone, the importance is lost. Like you take the Swachh Bharat. When the Swachh Bharat was started, they were asking for certain data. How the Swachh Bharat actually is it really useful, and how it has improved the conditions in the country. Then immediately NSSO went for again a survey, and in 6 months they brought out. But instead of that, when a scheme is started, immediately can't we plan a survey or do a system of collection of data so that we can feed the government simultaneously, the corrections are made, more proper decisions are taken. So these are only some of the areas which I want to just give an idea to the students, because there is a lot of things can be done. There is no dearth for doing the research work, and you can take up, but you have to have a gate, proper gate, because the university, there is always a provision for co-gate. So if any private practitioner is taken for helping the students, you can take the approval from the university. There is not an issue. So students, I just want to emphasize them or convey this, that they should take up this official statistics area and do some studies so that some empirical evidence is collected, which can be used for either developing theory or for getting a regular flow of information or establishing a system of getting information. Then a Central Statistical Office actually does, as I said, the statistics is concurrent, is in the concurrent list of the Constitution. So both the central and state governments are collecting the data. But when the question of definition, uniformity is concerned, the Central Statistics Office, they are actually doing this work, because there has to be a uniformity, because you cannot, additivity is not possible unless there is a uniformity. The survey design has to be same. So these are the things ensured at the national level. And there are committees and which actually have discussions with state governments, and this is ensured, and the system is very established, well established. But the problem is collecting real-time information and getting things quickly done. So that's still overcoming, because many portals have been developed by the Government of India. For example, the Annual Survey of Industries, there is also a portal created, and through direct data entry, they are now generating the reports. But still there is some issues which are being sorted out. But there are many more areas which we have to attempt for. I think with these few words, I close my talk. And if there are any questions, I am prepared to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Parameswaran sir. Ishwara sir.
No questions from the audience, sir.
Sir, one question is there, sir.
Sir?
One question
Yeah.
is there, sir.
Yes, sir. Question is there.
Mobile based, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Mobile based form for survey of data collection may be better at the present day of busy life of people.
Parameswaran sir.
Hello, yeah?
There is one question from audience, sir.
Yes,
Mobile-based form
yeah.
for survey of data collection may be
Yes.
better at the present day of busy life people.
Yeah. No, that is correct. But see, we have to develop app and actually see how reliable the data are. Because that's a useful, certainly it is useful, because you get the data without visiting the field. But how it works, whether the data are good, what is the quality of the data, we have to ensure. So I think we need to make a pilot study on at least one or two areas, and with a small sample, we'll have to see this. Because the data, real problem with the official data is, when we go for the policy decisions, the same data are available from many sources. In fact, I had given a lecture on this in Terry, maybe 2 years back, how the data varies from different sources. No, this is a very big issue. So which data you will take? So number of workers you take. Number of workers, NSSO gives the data. There is some other source, it gives the data. So which is the correct figure? So this is a major issue. And when we actually go into the details, we say that there are definitional differences. There are differences in the definitions. There are differences in the methodologies. So these are actually the contributing factors. In some cases, there are more non-responses. So the non-responses cases, they fill with some figure. How to address these differences is a major issue in the government. So this mobile app also, I don't know. I have my own doubts how good quality data you will get. But certainly it is a good idea, but one has to try and come out with some empirical evidences. Yes, this data are equally good. Then we can use it actually and implement it and use the data.
Sir, one more question is
Another
there,
question,
sir.
Yes.
Sir, shall I ask?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, this question from Professor Vedavati Madam.
Yeah.
Can you suggest the process of getting latest and most recent data sets related to agriculture domain in India?
Agriculture, you go to the Agriculture Ministry, www.agriculture, if you go to the Google, Agriculture Ministry, there is a statistical reports are there available. Now, all these ministries, they are updating regularly. There is a very wonderful thing has happened in the digital world. So everything you get through the computers. All the latest publications are uploaded, and go to the ministry's website and get the data. Don't go to any private website, because private data, still we have our own doubts how good quality data they are. But the government data, the system is very well established, because it is collected properly, it is checked, it is doubly checked. Then that is why it is taking a lot of time. But though it takes a lot of time, but we ensure the quality of the data, the government data. So you go to the agricultural website and the statistical publications gives all the data.
Thank you, sir. Sir, another basic question from audience. How to determine the sample size, sir?
Sample size, see, that is very difficult to say in the practical situation. And because you already study in the theory, there is an ideal sample size. You have studied optimal allocation. There are 3-4 formulas are there that gives you the sample size. But in the practical situation, you have the financial constraint. So the government gives you a particular budget, so much amount for this data. And if your ideal sample is much more, and if it cannot be, you cannot do the survey with this much amount, naturally your sample will be reduced. That is number one. Number two, the field collection. Because the government, these field investigators are again well-trained. They have got a long experience. They know how to put the questions. They know how to avoid the non-responses. They know all the techniques, because they have been trained in that way, and they have their experience also, quite a long experience. So we cannot have this much people also. So depending upon all these constraints, we arrive at a sample size. It may not be the ideal sample size, but it will be more representative. Suppose, for example, in health, we go by the incidence of a particular disease. Actual sample size may be something different, but when you have less money, less people, then you go to the villages or districts where this disease is mostly affected. So we think that will give a better representation. So we only confine to these and again go a sample selection. So there is no such things. It depends upon the various factors.
Thank you, sir. Ishwara, sir?
Now, may I request Professor C. Umashankar Garu, former Registrar of Rashtriya Sanskrit Vidyapith, Tirupati, to give conclusion remarks.
Sir, Umashankar, sir, you are on mute, sir.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, you
Yes,
are
sir.
audible, sir.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Hi, doctor.
How are you, sir?
I'm really good. I'm at only. It's really nice to see you today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm immensely pleased that you have delivered a profusely wonderful, a potential lecture on the present need as far as Indian statistical environment is concerned, where the data plays a significant role, and how to elicit the information on very important official statistics in some of the very important areas of research. You have shown very novel areas where young students and researchers can take up. And as you said very aptly, that the present day research is taken only on theoretical basis. The practical applications of statistics, what I can say, applicable statistics is the order of the day, combined with the computer technology is very much immensely useful for the present day application. And the potential areas must be taken care of, as you have very aptly put it, and the students have to take a leaf out of your lecture and to take a potential research where it should be useful for the nation as a whole. I'm very much pleased, Dr. Parveswaran, seeing you on this platform after many years, and God bless you and many, many wishes for you, and a very happy Statistics Day. Very
Thank you,
nice.
sir.
We will meet very often from now onwards. You are in Chennai only.
Who?
A request to chairman.
You are in Chennai or in Delhi?
No, sir, I am in Delhi only.
Oh,
Yeah.
very nice. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for just putting me on the platform to present my views of Dr. Parameswaran is a very potential researcher, and though he's working in a government organization of MOSPI, he has lot of say research-oriented thinking always, and he has exceptionally done good research on graph theory applications. If my remembrance goes back,
Yeah, that is correct, sir. That is correct, sir.
together,
Professor Parameswaran, sir.
Yes.
Sir, this is Professor Tirupati Rao, Pondicherry University.
Oh, okay, guys. Nice to
How
meet
are
you,
you,
sir.
sir?
Fine.
How are you? I want to have some simple clarification.
Okay.
There is a what we can say. There is a perception or a notion of the public that official statistics may not be accessible. There are many confidential reports are there that cannot be available. So in that case, the main reason for getting the data is having certain confidential issues or some copyrights issues that information is not releasing.
No, sir, it is.
Is it with our Indian administration, official administration statistics is concerned? What about that?
Sir, actually, the data, there is nothing like confidential data and all.
Okay.
And now whatever data are collected through the official system are published and also available in the website of the concerned ministries. So whatever data you want, if you want something on housing, you go to the Urban Development Ministry. If you want an agricultural, go to Agricultural Ministry website. If you want transport, you go to the Transport Ministry website. All detailed data are available. Time series data are also available.
So, but one thing is the data will be available on their format and we have to explore that, then we have to convert according to our requirement.
That you will have to see, sir. Actually, either some people are directly using it. Some people, if you want to.
What I have some data sets with MOSPI. MOSPI is providing some data sets as Excel sheet format. Where I am getting the format is case studies as well as variables. Matrix data is available. But mostly they are providing the reports that are in PDF format. PDF formats are the reports. So when the Excel data is mostly they can support for some research considering it as a raw data.
Correct.
Okay, so these limitations makes the researchers to choose the data for their research activity. Correct. So for example, Geological Survey, they have database. But the data what they are giving, it's not supporting our
system.
Research activity. This is what the limitations with the official statistics. And we are in the impression that with that limitations, to some extent only we are allowed to access the data. Then raw data may not be given to us. So basing on the raw data only, we can do, any researcher can have a flexibility of doing something if the data format is in raw more than processed data.
But
Okay.
Mosby gives the raw data also, sir. Because actually, they
Yes,
sell
sir.
the data.
They are using when they are providing the data, they are providing the data, they are not that much interested to give the raw data. The reason is they are coding. There are certain issues which cannot be released in the raw data. If you want, you can get the secondary data or semi-formatted data. From that data only we have to do. It is something like if I were given milk, I can prepare anything in the milk product. If I were given curd, I have a restriction. I have a restriction.
The problem may be sometimes they make some adjustments. As I said, the wide variations in the data, there is no consistency. And one particular figure may be too much increase in a particular year or particular period. And we don't know the reasons for ourselves sometimes. So some adjustments are made at times. That could be one of the reasons why they don't want to share the raw data.
So that is the reason mostly researchers are not interested to go to these official websites. That is my observation. It's my observation.
But even with the published data,
might be people like you suggest the next generations, stating that these are the limitations, maybe accessibility to be increased, so that more vibrant research can be done.